You won't believe what happened next. Imagine it's a bright, sunny afternoon, yet all you can think about is a spectacular downpour. That was exactly the case for our friend Coco, a little koala with a pair of brand new red Wellington boots, complete with yellow spots. He was staring out of his cabin window in the heart of a very distant forest, letting out a small sigh because the sun simply wouldn't stop shining. Have you ever been so desperate for rain? Just once, despite it being a gorgeous day. Coco absolutely loved to splash, and he had been waiting ages for a rainy day, well, at least 2 full days, which feels like an eternity when you are a koala with new boots. All of a sudden, a marvelous idea popped into his head. Why wait for the sky to change? Boots were excellent for any kind of weather, weren't they? Feeling much brighter, he turned from the window to find his grandma, already smiling as he heard her singing in the kitchen. When he wandered in, he found her dancing with Grandpa. They were always dancing, and the sight never failed to fill Coco's little heart with pure happiness. He stood by the door, just watching and grinning, not wanting to break the spell. But they saw him and waltzed right over, scooping him up so the 3 of them could twirl around the kitchen together. Coco chuckled, humming along. After a few minutes of dancing, they gently set him down and asked about his plans. Coco burst out with, "I want to wear my new boots. I know it's sunny, but I really want to wear them. Can I, please?" Grandma replied, "Of course you can, but wouldn't it be much more fun in the rain?" Coco pointed outside for look. "It's never going to rain. Not today." But Grandma, ever the mysterious and magical one, held up a paw. "Ah, but it is going to rain. I listened to the weather bear earlier, and he said it would rain for hours, maybe even thunder and lightning." Coco checked the clock. It was 1 o'clock. He was getting very good at telling the time and wanted to know exactly when this excitement would start. Grandma smiled. "The rain will start when it is ready. Let's go outside and use my magical powers to examine the sky." Coco's eyes widened. Magical powers. Grandpa just smiled, whispering that everything about Grandma was magical to him. They went onto the porch and stared up at the beautiful blue sky, devoid of a single cloud. Grandma closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and announced with absolute confidence, "I can feel it in my fur, and I can smell it in the air. About 10 minutes, I think. First light, and then a downpour." Coco didn't hesitate. He rushed inside to put on his red-spotted boots and his hooded raincoat, waiting patiently by the front door. They set off along the forest path, and it wasn't long before Coco pointed excitedly. "Clouds!" Grandpa confirmed they were rain clouds, pointing out their silver-gray color, moriapi hair gathering and gliding across the sky until they covered the sun, turning the forest a little darker. It happened just as Grandma predicted. A single drop landed on Coco's nose. He touched it to make sure he hadn't imagined it, and then another drop landed on his paw. Coco did a happy jig, cheering, "Yay! It's raining!" They all stopped and turned their faces up. Raindrops fell softly on them. Coco stuck out his tongue and caught a few. They were warm. His grandparents chuckled and joined in, sticking their tongues out too. The rain dripped through the leaves, drip, drop. It fell on the soft grass, drip, drop. Coco held out his arms, listening to the gentle drumbeat of the water hitting his raincoat. Then he stuck his foot out, noticing how different it sounded hitting his boot drip-drop as the rain grew heavier, creating a soothing melody. Most of the forest animals scurried to their cozy homes, but not Coco and his grandparents. The puddles were forming, and that meant only one thing. Grandpa looked at Coco and grinned. "Shall we have a splash?" "Yes, please." Grandpa put Coco on the ground right in front of a line of perfect puddles, waiting to be jumped into. Coco looked down at his beautiful, new, clean boots. They were special, but they were made for this. He bent his knees and jumped into the nearest one. Splash! Muddy water washed satisfyingly over the red and yellow spots. He jumped into the next, and the next, and the next. Splash, 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 splash. It was enormous fun. His grandparents joined in, laughing and splashing water everywhere until they finally stopped, breathless. Grandpa cheered. "The rain makes me want to dance." Grandma opened her rainbow umbrella, offering Coco shelter, but he wanted to feel the rain on his hood. Grandpa began to sing a joyful song and started to twirl, leaping from puddle to puddle, kicking his legs and sending water flying in all directions. He hopped and bopped over to Coco, picked him up, and danced around the bushes with him. Grandma, smiling good-naturedly, eventually joined in the dancing duo. They chimmed and swayed. They grooved and boogied along the forest path until they had to stop, collapsing with laughter. The sky darkened further, and the rain fell even heavier. Pitter-patter. Grandma moved the umbrella so they could all huddle beneath it, and Coco felt very cozy. As they traveled through the rainy forest, they crossed an old wooden bridge. Looking over the side at the swirling river below, tiny ripples circling outwards as raindrops hit the surface. With Grandma sensing the thunder and lightning were on the way, they hastened towards the sleepy forest village. They knew exactly where to go to cafe, famous for its delicious hot chocolate topped with freshly whipped cream and soft marshmallows. It didn't take them long to reach the Sleepy Forest Cafe. Grandpa gave the rainbow umbrella a good shake, opened the door, and ushered Coco inside to find a spot. "Hot chocolate, please," Coco requested eagerly, adding, "with whipped cream and marshmallows." Grandma and Coco found a cozy corner table by the window, settling into soft seats while Grandpa went to the counter to order. They watched the raindrops running down the glass and the puddles outside growing bigger. Grandpa brought the mugs over, and they all sipped their delicious, velvety drinks. Coco said he felt all warm and cozy inside, and his grandparents agreed. The sky grew even darker, and the table lamps were switched on, casting cozy glows. 2 seconds later, boom, a rumble of thunder echoed through the sky. Coco gazed at his grandma in wonder. She really did have magical powers. Outside, the rain pitter-pattered, the thunder rumbled, and a flash of lightning zapped across the sky. Inside, the cafe was mesmerizing, with customers staring out the window at the storm's soothing sight and sound. As they finished their drinks, the storm finally began to quiet. The thunder stopped, and the rain lightened to a drizzle until it was no more. Sunbeams shone through gaps in the clouds, making the raindrops glisten like diamonds on the grass and leaves. Grandma smiled. "If my feelings are correct, there should be something beautiful in the sky. Let's go look." They left the cafe and walked along the forest path, searching the sky. "There it is," Grandma pointed. A magnificent rainbow arched across the sky, glistening and glimmering. It was so enchanting Coco couldn't look away. Its colors twinkling like stars. They held pause and watched in silence until the colors slowly faded. Sun shone down brightly again. "I'm glad we came out for a rainy walk," Coco said, beaming. "I am too, but perhaps it's time to head home." His grandma replied, "Will there be any more rain, Grandma?" "Yes, but just a little this evening when you are tucked up snug and cozy in your bed." The thought of listening to the rain as he fell asleep was so soothing. They walked back, jumping into every possible puddle they could find. Grandpa even squeezed in another dance. As their cozy cabin came into view, they saw Coco's parents waving from the porch bench. Coco ran up the steps, bounding up to them. Before he could say a word, his mother said, "Wow, you've been on a long walk and jumped in many puddles. How did you know? Have you got magical powers like Grandma?" Coco asked, eyes wide. She pointed to his boots. "No, but I don't need magical powers to see how muddy your boots are." "Did you have a fun time? Did you see the rainbow?" He happily told them all about his wonderful walk in the rain with his grandparents. Later that night, as Coco snuggled down in his bed, his grandma told him a story about a traveling albatross. When she'd finished, she held up her paw to her ear, smiled, and said, "I think I can hear the rain." Coco listened. It was falling softly outside. Pitter patter, pitter patter. It was a soothing lullaby, a gentle melody of soothing sounds. Coco yawned, closed his eyes, and drifted into a deep, deep sleep. The rain continued to fall over the sleepy forest. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. If you've loved following Coco on his rainy adventure today, make sure to let us know by liking this video and subscribing. We've got a whole forest of stories waiting for you. So snuggle down, breathe deeply, and drift off with us. You won't believe what happened next. Just as the rain settles into a soft rhythm over the cabin, we travel to the far end of the forest, where a figure of immense quiet and ancient knowledge resides. This is the home of the wise elephant. She is the forest's living sanctuary. Whenever a creature finds their thoughts becoming too heavy or their heart a bit too loud, they seek her out. She doesn't just offer answers. She offers a different way of seeing the world. On a particularly warm summer's day, a tiny robin fluttered over, his wings beating with a nervous energy. He landed on a pine branch, his chest heaving. "I love to sing," he whispered to the elephant, "but I think it's time I gave it up. Every time I open my beak, I'm terrified. The other birds are laughing at me. My voice, it isn't like theirs. It's terrible." The elephant looked at him, her eyes vast and kind. She didn't argue. Instead, she invited him on a walk. "Be still," she whispered as they reached a quiet glade. "Tell me what you hear." The robin listened. He heard the industrious hum of bees, the rhythmic rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the gentle trickle of water over stones. "It sounds like music," the robin realized. The elephant nodded. "The forest is a symphony, and it is waiting for your specific note. Never let your song go unsung because you are comparing your melody to someone else's." With a newfound pride, the robin let out a note low at first, then soaring, realizing that his voice was the perfect harmony to the world around him. But the elephant's day was far from over. Next came a gray squirrel, her tail twitching with a frantic pace. "My head is full of worries," the squirrel confessed. "So many what-ifs and maybes that I can't think straight." The elephant didn't ask for a list of the worries. She simply told the squirrel to close her eyes. "Imagine each worry is a leaf on a tree," she guided. "Now, see them falling. One by one, a gentle autumn breeze catches them and carries them far, far away until they are nothing but specks on the horizon." The squirrel's breathing slowed. As the last leaf vanished, she felt a lightness she hadn't known in years. "What if they come back?" she asked. The elephant smiled. "Then you simply become the wind again." Then there was the little green frog who sat on a log, looking utterly miserable. "I have a big problem," he told the elephant. "I'm a frog who hates to swim. I don't even like getting my toes damp. My family thinks I'm strange, and I'm worried they'll kick me out of the pond." The elephant noticed the frog was constantly jumping on and off his log, a look of pure joy on his face every time he was in the air. She scooped him up gently. "What do you actually love?" she asked. The frog's eyes shone like sunbeams. "Jumping. When I'm in the air, I feel like I'm flying." The elephant encouraged him to share this passion with the others. "You don't know how someone feels until you ask," she reminded him. The frog leaped away, not swimming, but soaring through the undergrowth, finally comfortable in his own skin. As the sun began to dip, a shy monkey stepped out from behind a tree. He had been following the elephant all day, listening to her advice, but too nervous to speak. "I can't sleep," he admitted quietly. "I worry all day about not being able to sleep, which only makes it worse." The elephant knew exactly what was needed. A routine to signal the body that the day was done. First, she took him to the lions. They weren't hunting, they were stretching. The monkey joined them, reaching his arms up until he felt he could touch the stars, then rolling his neck until every muscle felt like silk. Next, they visited the hippos in the river. The monkey hesitated, but the warmth of the water was too inviting. He slipped in letting the heat soak into his bones, while he watched the moon rise. Finally, the elephant led him back to his favorite tree. "One last thing," she said. A mountain gorilla emerged from the shadows, a storyteller who had traveled 1,000 miles. He began to speak in a voice like distant thunder, a low, hypnotic rumble that wrapped around the monkey like a heavy blanket. Before the story of the brave monkey's quest was even halfway through, the listener was in a deep, peaceful slumber. Even the wise elephant, tired from her day of helping others, settled into the grass and let the gorilla's words carry her into the clouds. You won't believe what happened next, because in a cozy house made of bamboo, things were about to get very animated. Meet Bao. He was a panda who had grown from a tiny ball of fluff into a tall, round, and incredibly soft young chef. Usually, every Sunday was a sacred ritual, dumpling day. Bo, his mom and his grandma would gather two-fold vegetables into dough with a perfect, expert pinch. But today was different. A traveling wool shop, towed by a sheep on a bicycle named Wally, had rolled into the forest, and the ladies of the house had rushed off to snag the floofiest yarn. Bao was left alone with his dad, who was hidden behind the newspaper. His grandma had challenged him. "You're a trusted chef now, Bao. Show us what you can create on your own." Bao puffed out his chest. He was ready, but a real chef needs a hat. He tried a pillowcase, but it went floppy. Then he found a pair of his own crisp white, starched underpants. He popped them on his head perfect. They stood regally upright. Now the cooking could begin. First, the flour. He tried to grab a bag from the pantry, but it was heavy. He imagined himself as a mighty ox, hoisted the bag over his head, and accidentally dusted himself in a white cloud. He sneezed, giggled, and got to work. He washed his furry paws until they were sudsy and sweet-smelling, then began mixing flour and water into a snowy landscape. He kneaded the dough for 10-15 minutes, folding, pulling, and pushing until it was a perfect cream-colored ball. He tucked it into a bowl with a tea towel, wishing it sweet dreams as it rested. Next came the filling. Bo went rogue. He chose mushrooms of all shapes, tiny ones for fairies, and big frilly ones, plus chives, garlic, and jiggling tofu. He sizzled them in the wok, shaking the pan to send the ingredients dancing through the air. Once the mixture cooled, it was time to wake the dough. He rolled out 12 perfect circles and sealed them with a pinch. He stacked them in a bamboo steamer tower and let the steam twirl around them until they were But when he lifted the lid, the top basket was empty. Plop, bioing. A mysterious sound echoed in the kitchen. Suddenly, 4 dumplings rocketed out of the next basket and began ricocheting off the walls like rubber balls. Before Bao could blink, all 12 dumplings were alive, giggling and bowing around the room. Bo tried to catch them, but they had boundless energy. Thinking fast, he remembered how his grandma calmed him down. He sat on the floor, closed his eyes, and sang "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Dumpling." Slowly, the bowing stopped. He opened his eyes to find 12 little dumplings huddled in his lap, cooing and beaming up at. Bao decided to show his new friends the world. He let them climb up his arms and snuggle into his fur, then carried them outside. "This is the forest," he told them. They spent the afternoon singing in harmony and rolling down hills like tiny somersaults. By the time they returned, the kitchen was a mess of flour. But the dumplings now, his little helpers dived into the soapy, washing up water and scrubbed every pan until it sparked. When his mum and grandma returned, they found Bao with a clean kitchen and 12 new cuddly dumplings hiding behind the cookbooks. His grandma smiled. "You poured so much love into your cooking. They came to life." That night, after a celebratory pizza, Bao fell asleep with 12 tiny friends snoozing in a huddle on his lap, dreaming of the adventures they'd have tomorrow. Now, if you're ready to let your own thoughts settle, just like Bao's dumplings, take a long, slow breath. We're moving deeper into the woods now to meet a girl named Willow Stump, the legendary Slumberjack. Willow comes from a long line of lumberjacks, but she has a secret. While her family builds cabins, she spends her nights in the remote parts of the forest, making sure every animal has the most luxurious, cozy nest imaginable. Tonight, she's on a mission for a bush baby named Daisy and a family of koalas. She gathers scraps of velvet, silk, and soft wool slipping through a hidden gate at the end of a lane that leads straight into the heart of the forest. High in the pine trees, she weaves together a nursery for Daisy's new Sistura round home that hangs on slender ropes like a hot air balloon, designed to rock a baby to sleep with the slightest breeze. Then, she moves to a great oak tree to finish a cottage for the Pebbles family, complete with hammocks made of silk and moss-green carpets. As Willow finishes her work, she paints a poem on the wall. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. As she heads home, the forest is a sea of tranquility. She tiptoes past her grandfather, who is snoring on the porch, and climbs into her own soft pajamas. Her bed is a sanctuary, and as she closes her eyes, she imagines the whole forest tucked in and safe. If these tales of cozy cabins and magical dumplings have helped you find your quiet place tonight, don't forget to like and subscribe to join our forest family. For now, let your mind float up, light as a balloon, into the clouds. Imagine you're lying on a marshmallow soft cloud, weightless and free. The worries of the day are drifting away like autumn leaves. You are safe. You are held. You are drifting into a deep, peaceful sleep. Good night. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your night. May you find deep peace and restful sleep. Wishing you the sweetest dreams. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.